Most people will wake up tomorrow morning and treat August 20th the way they treat every other Thursday. The alarm will ring at the usual hour. The coffee will be made in the usual mug. The first scroll through the phone will swallow the first minutes of the day the way it always does. And somewhere in the middle of all that ordinary motion, something will move through their lives without ever being noticed. It will not announce itself. It will not knock. It will pass quietly, the way important things almost always do. And by Friday, they will have no idea that a door was standing open in front of them, and that they walked straight past it. But you are watching this right now, which means some part of you already knows. Some part of you has been feeling something gathering for weeks, a pressure without a name, a restlessness that does not quite have an address. And that feeling is not random. It is not stress. It is not the usual background noise of a busy life. It is the early signal of something that is already in motion. Tomorrow, August 20th, is one of those quiet dates that the loud world will completely overlook. Nothing dramatic is announced in the sky. There is no eclipse to photograph, no meteor shower to schedule your evening around, no headline event that will make anyone pay attention. And that is precisely why it matters, because the most significant shifts in a human life rarely begin with a bang. They begin in silence. They begin with a thought that keeps returning even when you try to push it away. They begin with a feeling you cannot fully explain, a conversation that arrives at exactly the right moment, a door that closes somewhere behind you without you noticing the sound. August 20th is a day when a cycle that has been developing for weeks reaches a point of quiet visibility, and the people who recognize what is happening will be in an entirely different position by the end of the month than the people who let it pass. What I want to do today is walk you through what is actually moving, why it is moving now, and how to tell whether it has already started moving in your life, because I believe it has. I believe that is exactly why you are here, in this precise moment, hearing these words, not by accident, not by chance, but because something in you has been responding to this energy for days, and you are finally ready to know what it is you have been feeling. Here is what most people will completely miss about this moment. August 20th falls at a very specific point in a much larger story. 2 weeks ago, on the 12th, a total solar eclipse crossed the sky in the sign of Leo, one of the most powerful and rarest cosmic events in years. That eclipse was not an ending. It was not even really a beginning. It was a key turning in a lock that has been slowly rotating for a very long time. And the door that key turned open does not swing all at once. It opens gradually, in the days and weeks that follow, as the energy the eclipse released begins to settle into ordinary life. That is where we are right now. We are inside that opening. The eclipse did its work in a single afternoon. The consequences of that work are still unfolding, and they unfold quietly, beneath the surface, in ways that have nothing to do with spectacle. And there is something else moving beneath all of this, something slower and even more significant. Just days ago, the lunar nodes shifted, the North Node crossing into the sign of Aquarius for the first time in almost 2 decades. The nodes are not planets, they are mathematical points, the places where the moon's path crosses the sun's, and they mark where eclipses are born. But astrologically, they represent something deeper. The North Node is where we are being pulled to grow. The South Node is where we have been comfortable for too long. And when the North Node moves into a new sign, it does not just change a date on a calendar. It changes the direction of the collective wind, slowly, structurally, over the next year and a half. That shift happened only days ago. And tomorrow, August 20th, the energy of that shift meets the energy of the eclipse still settling. And the combination is creating conditions that are genuinely rare. Most content about astrology will tell you about the loud events. They will tell you about the eclipse. They will tell you about the meteor shower. They will tell you about the alignment. But almost no one will tell you about the moment in between, the quiet moment when all of that loud energy finally begins to land in your actual life. That moment is now. That moment is August 20th. This is why the day matters so much. The eclipse was the ignition. The node shift was the new direction being set. And the days that follow are when the ignition starts producing heat, when the new direction starts becoming visible in your decisions, your emotions, your encounters, the small rearrangements of your daily life. This is the delivery window, and delivery windows are quiet by nature. They do not need to be loud to be real. They simply need someone present enough to receive them. For the past several weeks, since around the beginning of August, you have been living through one of the most energetically dense stretches of the entire year. The Lionsgate portal on the 8th opened a floodgate of Leo energy around identity, courage, and self-expression. The eclipse on the 12th forced a chapter break in areas of life that had run their course. The Perseid meteor shower, peaking in the middle of the month, reminded the sky itself what it looks like to commit to a direction without hesitation. And on the 18th, the nodes shifted, setting a new long-term course for the collective and for anyone paying attention. By the time August 20th arrives, you have absorbed an enormous amount of energetic input. And here is the part almost nobody understands. When the input is that dense, the output does not appear immediately. It incubates, it simmers. It works its way through your system in the days after. And then, quietly, it begins to surface. That surfacing is what tomorrow is about. Not a new event, not a new portal. The surfacing of everything that has already been planted. This is also why the day can feel strange, in a way you cannot quite name. You may have noticed it already, a certain heaviness that has no obvious source, a sensitivity that has been higher than usual. Moments where you feel moved by something small, a song, a memory, a brief exchange with a stranger, in a way that seems disproportionate. Conversations that used to slide off your awareness, suddenly sticking with you for hours. A growing feeling that something is ending, or beginning, or both, even though nothing in your outer life has visibly changed. None of that is imagination. None of that is weakness. That is the energy of the last 2 weeks beginning to find its way into your conscious awareness. And it is arriving through the only channels your body knows how to use, through emotion, through attention, through the strange persistence of certain thoughts, through the subtle rearrangement of your daily circumstances. August 20th is not asking you to do anything dramatic. This is important to understand, because the temptation in times like this is to feel that you should be doing something big, making a grand gesture, forcing an outcome. That is not what this moment requires. This moment requires awareness. It requires paying attention to what is repeatedly capturing your attention. It requires noticing what no longer feels aligned, even when you cannot articulate exactly why. It requires trusting the small signs that appear at precisely the right moment, and recognizing that they are not random. Major life shifts rarely begin with obvious announcements. They begin quietly. They begin with small signs, inner nudges, and subtle changes in perspective that gradually reshape the future. August 20th is the beginning of a process, not the end of one, and the people who will be most affected by it are not the ones doing the most. They are the ones noticing the most. So what does this actually look like in a life? Let me walk you through what is moving, and more importantly, how you will know it is moving in you. There are 5 signs that the energy of this moment has already reached you. And I want to be honest with you from the start. These signs are not dramatic. They will not feel like revelations while they are happening. They will feel small, ordinary, almost dismissible. And that is exactly why most people will ignore them. But when you recognize them for what they are, the next several weeks of your life will start to make a kind of sense that no amount of analyzing could ever give you. The first sign is the recurring thought. There is a thought that has been coming back to you, not because you are trying to think it, but because it keeps arriving on its own. It might be about a decision you have been postponing. It might be about a person you have been meaning to speak with, or a person you have been meaning to let go of. It might be about a direction you have been circling for months, a project you have been wanting to start, a change you have been too afraid to name out loud. The thought appears at odd moments, in the shower, in the car, in the minutes before sleep, when the mind finally stops performing for the world and starts telling the truth. And every time it appears, you do the same thing. You push it away, you tell yourself it is not the right time. You tell yourself you will get to it later, when things are calmer, when you have more clarity, when the conditions are finally perfect. But the thought does not care about your excuses. It keeps returning. And the reason it keeps returning is not because you are obsessed or stuck. It is because the thought is not a stray. It is a signal. It is the part of you that is already moving towards something, reaching out to you from the future, asking you to notice. When the same thought returns to you 3, 4, 5 times in a single week without you inviting it, that is not coincidence. That is alignment forming. That is a direction becoming visible. Most people will spend their whole lives ignoring this sign because it looks like ordinary rumination. But it is not ordinary. It is the first whisper of the thing that is trying to be born through you. Think about what has been circling your mind lately. The thought that keeps coming back even when you try to move past it. The answer you just received before you could edit it, before you could make it more reasonable or more comfortable. That answer is the first sign. And here is what I want you to understand about it. The thought is not asking you to act on it tomorrow. It is asking you to stop treating it as noise. Because the moment you start treating it as information, it begins to move. It begins to reorganize your energy. It begins to show you the next step and then the step after that. The recurring thought is the seed of everything that is trying to grow, and the soil it is landing in is exactly the soil this moment has been preparing. The second sign is the shift in your emotional baseline. For reasons you cannot explain, things have been hitting you differently. The music you love moves you more than it used to. A memory you thought you had healed surfaces without warning and carries more weight than it should. You find yourself tearful without a clear cause, or restless in a way that no amount of activity can resolve. You feel things more intensely, and sometimes you feel things that do not seem to belong to the situation at all. This is one of the most consistent markers of a significant energetic shift, and it is also one of the most misunderstood. Most people interpret this sign as a problem. They think something is wrong with them, that they are unstable, that they are overwhelmed, that they need to get themselves back under control. And so they suppress it, they push it down. They maintain their ordinary baseline through sheer willpower, the way people do. But the energy does not disappear when you suppress it. It finds a different exit. It shows up as exhaustion. It shows up as irritability. It shows up as that strange flatness that sits underneath an otherwise functional day. The amplification you have been feeling is not a malfunction. It is your emotional body rising to meet the frequency of a moment that is genuinely significant. It is making space for something that is about to arrive. And the people who allow themselves to feel it, who sit with it, who ask what it is trying to surface, those are the people who move through times like this with a grace that looks almost effortless to everyone watching. The suppression is what makes the storm. The allowance is what makes the passage. If your emotions have felt larger than the situation logically calls for, that is not a sign of weakness. That is the second sign that something is already moving. Let me give you a picture of what this looks like in a real life. A person goes about their week, functioning, productive, doing all the things they are supposed to do, and then, in an ordinary Tuesday evening, standing in the kitchen, doing something completely unremarkable, they are suddenly overcome, not by anything that happened, not by any situation, just by a wave of something they cannot name, something old and large and real. They might dismiss it, they might tell themselves they are just tired, but that wave is not random. It is the accumulated weight of weeks of energetic input surfacing all at once, looking for release. And when they let it move through them, when they do not fight it, something loosens, a space opens. And in that space, a clarity arrives that no amount of thinking had been able to produce. That is what the second sign is for. It is the emotional pressure valve, releasing what no longer belongs, so that what is meant to arrive has somewhere to land. The third sign is the unexpected encounter. Somewhere in the last few days, or in the days directly ahead, someone will reach out to you who was not expected. A message from a person you have not spoken to in months, a name that surfaces in a conversation for no reason, a stranger who says something that lands strangely, like it was meant for you, an opportunity that appears from a direction you were not watching. This sign is easy to dismiss because it looks like the ordinary traffic of life. People reach out all the time. Messages arrive every day, but the timing matters. When an encounter arrives during a window like this, carrying the specific quality of fit, the sense that this is right in a way that feels more certain than your usual assessments of rightness, it is not just a coincidence. It is the universe responding. It is a confirmation that you are on a frequency that is being answered. The ancient traditions understood this better than the modern world does. They understood that the veil between what is and what is coming grows thin at certain moments, and that when it does, the right person, the right message, the right opportunity appears with a precision that cannot be engineered by human effort alone. Here is what I want you to do with this sign. Do not ignore it. Do not let it pass through your awareness without being caught. When someone unexpected reaches out, when a conversation takes a turn that feels significant before you have had time to analyze why, pay attention. Notice the quality of it. Notice whether it connects to something you have been thinking about, something you have been circling. Because that connection, that sense of fit, is not random. It is the third sign that something is moving, and it is moving specifically in the direction of your life. The encounter is not asking you to make a decision. It is asking you to stay open. It is asking you to recognize that what is being offered quietly in the ordinary moments of an ordinary day is real. The fourth sign is the friction with what no longer fits. Have you noticed that certain things have started to bother you that used to feel fine? A routine that you have followed for years suddenly feels heavy. A relationship dynamic that you used to accept suddenly feels impossible to tolerate. A job, a habit, a place, a pattern that was always just there, part of the furniture of your life, has started to grate. This is not a coincidence, and it is not you becoming difficult. It is the fourth sign, and it is perhaps the most important one, because it is the sign that is doing the actual work of transformation. Here is how transformation really works. It never arrives into a space that is fully occupied. There has to be room. Something has to loosen, has to soften, has to step aside before the new thing can take its place. And the energy of this moment, the energy of the eclipse still settling and the new direction being set, does exactly that. It loosens the patterns, it interrupts the routines. It creates friction in the places where the old is still occupying space that the new needs. The friction you have been feeling is not punishment, it is not a setback, it is preparation. It is the old architecture beginning to creak because it knows it is being replaced. Think about it in your own life. What has been irritating you lately? Not the big things, the small things, the way a certain conversation always goes, the way a certain part of your day always drains you, the way you feel when you walk into a certain room, or sit in a certain relationship, or open a certain part of your work. That irritation is information. It is the most honest information your life will ever give you, because it does not lie. It does not perform. It simply shows you what no longer resonates with the person you are becoming. And here is the beautiful part. The friction does not need you to solve it today. It needs you to see it, because the moment you see it clearly, without the usual layers of justification, something begins to shift. The irritation loosens its grip because it has been named. And once it is named, the space it was occupying starts to become available for something else. Most people will spend this entire period pushing against the friction, trying to make the old things work again, not realizing that the old things are not supposed to work again. They are supposed to fall away. And when they do, the thing that has been waiting to take their place will finally have room to arrive. The fifth sign is the dream layer. And this one, more than any other, is the sign that most people will completely miss because it happens while they are unconscious. For the past several days, or in the days directly ahead, your sleep may have been different. You may have been waking at unusual hours, in the small hours of the night, with your heart beating slightly too fast and your mind already halfway through a thought. You may have been having dreams that were extraordinarily vivid, emotionally loaded. Dreams you could not shake even after you woke up. Dreams about journeys, about thresholds, about standing in unfamiliar places. Dreams where familiar people behave unexpectedly, where conversations happen that need to happen but have not happened yet in waking life. Dreams where something is being released, left behind, or finally resolved. This is not random. Your subconscious mind is processing the energetic pressure that is building around you, and it is using the only language it knows best, the language of symbol, metaphor, and image. When you wake from a dream and it stays with you, when an image from a dream keeps returning throughout the day, when you wake up feeling like you have been somewhere, even though you never left your bed, that is the fifth sign. It is the deepest level of yourself communicating with you, and it is telling you that something is moving below the surface of your awareness, far below what your conscious mind can see. Pay attention to your dreams in the coming nights, the way you have not allowed yourself to do in a long time. Keep a notebook by your bed. Write down the images the moment you wake, before you reach for your phone, before the ordinary day comes in and washes them away. Because the dreams of this window are not entertainment. They are the field showing you what wants to come next. They are the answer arriving in the only form that can reach you while your defenses are down. And when you begin to honor them, to write them down, to let them matter, you will find that the answers you have been searching for in your waking life were already being delivered to you at night in a language older than words. All five of these signs, the recurring thought, the shift in emotion, the unexpected encounter, the friction with what no longer fits, and the dream layer, are not five separate experiences. They are five faces of the same incoming energy. And if you have recognized yourself in even 2 or 3 of them, then you have your confirmation. This moment has already reached you. You are not standing outside of it waiting for it to arrive. You are already inside it. And that changes everything about how you move through the next weeks. Because here is what happens when you recognize the signs. You stop feeling overwhelmed by them. The vague discomfort becomes specific. The strange restlessness gets a name. And once something has a name, you can work with it. You can move with it instead of being moved by it. The people who understand what is happening in this window are the ones who can use it rather than simply being swept along by it. And the most important thing you can do with this understanding is remarkably simple. Pay attention to what keeps capturing your attention. Trust the nudges. Honor the small signs. And when something no longer feels aligned, allow yourself to admit it, without the need to do anything about it yet. Awareness is the practice of this moment. Awareness is what prepares the ground. and the ground that is being prepared right now will hold whatever comes next. There is one more thing I want to say, and I want to say it carefully because I think it is the most important thing you will hear today. August 20th is not a day you need to do anything about. It is not a deadline. It is not a test. It is a marker, a specific point in the middle of a larger unfolding, a moment when the energy of the last 2 weeks reaches a place of quiet visibility. And the reason this matters is not because anything dramatic will happen tomorrow. It is because the process that begins tomorrow will continue to unfold through the rest of this month and beyond. The full moon in Pisces arrives on the 28th, and it will gather up everything this window has been surfacing and bring it to a point of emotional completion. That is the arc. The eclipse planted the seed. The node shift set the direction. August 20th is when the seed breaks through the soil, invisible to everyone but you. And the full moon at the end of the month is when what has been growing becomes something you can finally see, name, and hold. None of this requires you to be perfect. None of this requires you to have everything figured out. The energy of this moment responds to sincerity, not performance. It responds to the person who sits quietly and allows themselves to acknowledge what they have been managing around. That is all that is required. That is enough. The rest will unfold in its own timing, through the small steps you take, through the conversations you finally have, through the decisions you make from a place of clarity rather than reaction. And when you look back on this period, weeks from now, you will understand why today mattered. You will see the thread that was being woven. You will recognize the door that was opening while everyone around you was looking in the other direction. So here is my invitation to you. Before you close this video, take a moment and ask yourself a single honest question. What has been moving in your life that you have been explaining away? What thought keeps returning? What feeling has been growing in the background? What conversation has been waiting for you? Just notice it. No need to act, no need to decide, no need to force anything. Just give it your attention, the way you would give your attention to a seed that has just broken through the soil. Because attention is the water. Attention is what makes the growth real. And the people who are willing to give their attention to the quiet, unremarkable, easily ignored signals of this moment are the people who will look back on the coming weeks and recognize that everything changed. Not in a single dramatic day, but in the accumulation of 1,000 small recognitions, each one pointing in the same direction. If this message reached you at exactly the right time, I want you to leave a comment telling me which of these signs has been showing up in your life. I read every single one, and your experience is part of the larger signal moving through this field right now. Subscribe and turn on notifications if you want to keep walking through this unfolding together, because the movement is not finished. The arc that is beginning now continues through the full moon and beyond, and I will be here for every step of it. Until then, guard your energy, trust what is surfacing, and remember this above all else. The biggest changes in your life do not announce themselves. They arrive quietly, disguised as ordinary days, and they are only visible to the people who are willing to look. August 20th is one of those days. Do not let it pass the way most people will let it pass. Be the one who noticed.